Hi everyone, I'm Lockwood. This is Cakes, Cooking and More. Today's recipe for our Halloween week of specials is a very simple white chocolate covered Oreo cookie. Now this is one of those that is a very low level, very easy to do. So if you've never done any cooking before, this is a good way to start. So let's see what we need. For this recipe, we have some white chocolate chips, and I haven't put a whole lot in the bowl. You want maybe half the bag. You don't want to do too much at a time. And I put my extras into a Ziploc so that they don't get stale. Then I have some Oreo cookies, and I just have enough to do my little tray here, which this is a mold for mummies. I have a little tray, and then I have some paint brushes that are food safe. I have a food safe marker, some food color that's black, along with sparkle gel. Now you can use the gel, you can use the marker, or you can use food color with a paintbrush. It doesn't matter really which one you do, just pick one that you're most comfortable with. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our chocolate melted first. We're going to do this 1 minute, and then we're going to stir, and then do it 30-second intervals until it's mostly completely melted. We don't want to melt too much or it will never set and become firm again, and we want to make sure it becomes firm and not sticky gooey. So we're going to pop this in the microwave. Okay, so after a minute in the microwave, they're starting to melt. They're getting pretty thin, but you can see there's still quite a few clumps in there. So we're going to just give them a little stir. Get the melted warm chocolate on top to help them melt a little bit faster. And then we're going to pop this back in, like I said, for another 30 seconds. And we're going to do 30-second intervals until almost completely melted. Okay, after this 30-second interval, it's pretty much dissolved. We've got one or two little clumps in there. Now at this point, it's pretty warm, and it's most likely not going to set. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a small amount of unmelted chocolates. What this is going to do is force it to cool back down a little and take it back to a place where it will set again. You just want to keep mixing it until all of those chunks have finally melted. And depending on how much chocolate you're melting, it shouldn't take you any more than 1.5 to 5 minutes if you're doing like a lot. I've still got a few little clumps in there. So I'm just going to keep mixing. Alright, once we are completely melted, what we're going to do is take our little container, and we're going to put just a tiny bit into each one. You don't want a whole lot, you just want enough to kind of cover the bottom of the pitcher, the face if you will, or shape, design, whatever you're using. You can do as many or as few as you want. I'm just doing a few real quick to show you how these work. Alright, once we've got a little bit of chocolate into each one, I'm just going to kind of spread that out a little bit. Make sure the whole bottom is covered. Alright, now we want to make sure that there are no air bubbles. Bang it a few times, and any air bubbles that are in there will come up and be gone. Now we're going to take our cookies, and we're going to place one in the middle of each. Lightly press down. Don't go too far. You don't want it to show through on the other side. But you do want to make sure you keep them fairly centered, because they should be, when we're done, completely covered in chocolate. So they've got to press down enough to be slightly under the edge so that we can cover this side. and they need to be in the middle so that all the edges are covered. Now you should be able to lift and look underneath and see if you can see your cookie. If you can see the cookie coming through, you've pushed down too far. And we've got this one right here is a little bit far in there. I'm just using my finger now to lift it back up and not press it quite as far. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to take the rest of our chocolate. We're going to pour on top until we're right at the edge of the lip for each little cookie holder. Try not to overfill because it tends to make a mess if you do. Just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Try to get it down into each of the little grooves and shapes and whatever for your particular mold. A little bit in this one. Alright, once we've got them all filled up, if you've got ones that are a little over your mold, pick up your mold and just sort of wipe that off, that excess, leaving enough behind to completely cover your cookie. You don't want it visible. Alright, once you're done, give it a few more taps for any new air bubbles that you've created. Now you're going to let this set for 10 to 15 minutes until it hardens. You should be able to press on the top and it'd be fairly firm. You can cheat a little and stick it in the refrigerator to speed it up, but you really don't need to unless you're in a hurry. So we'll be back as soon as these have set all the way. Alright, now that they're out of our molds, we're going to take our black, and like I said, there are different options that you can use. So one is the food safe marker. I don't like it. I think it has a taste to it, but some people prefer it. You can use it and go around your eyes and fill it in. You do have a lot more control with the food safe marker. It's a little bit easier to use, but like I said, I don't prefer it. I don't like the taste of it, so it's up to you. Another thing you can do is they have these gels. There's very little control with these, so I don't like these as much either. They tend to glop and they tend to come out a little bit more than you mean them to. Because like I'm just barely squeezing it and I'm getting quite a large drop. And as you can see there between the eyes, I don't have a lot of control. The tip is a little bit wider than what I'm wanting to use. So it's not my preferred method. Mine is a little bit of food color. And then a food safe paintbrush. This allows me to pick it up, get it as close as I need to. There are different sizes of brushes so that you can control exactly how much you're using. Control how much you're putting on, and then you can paint it as you go. Now these are one of the easiest recipes that we're doing this week. If you're a beginner cook and you've never done any before, this would be where you want to start. They're really quite easy. The kids have a lot of fun with these too, because they can sit there and paint on them. Once you have your cookie painted, you kind of want to let it sit for just a minute or two to kind of set, dry out a little bit. Add a little bit more into the corners of the eyes if you want. And this mold I actually got at Michael's, but you can get them on places like Amazon, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Walmart actually has a decent selection of molds that you can buy. and it's really quite easy. So you just finish those up like that, and like I said, you have a lot more control with the brush, so I prefer it, but any of the methods really does work quite well. Okay, so let's see what the inside of our cookie looks like after we're done. Now I'm using a ceramic knife, so it's a pretty firm one. You can see inside the layers of cookie and cream along with the white chocolate coating. Okay, so there is our very easy cookie. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Remember to hit the notification button if you want to catch all 7 days of our Halloween special, and I'll see you next time.